So I remember I had a student many years ago in 8th grade share this one little thing that I do remember to this day, because I think it is very telling about the vast majority of us living under capitalism. So the student told me that if they could, they would just do nothing all day. They would just play games, eat snacks, and just never ever do anything, never read a book, never meet with friends, never do any kind of work, because they just didn't want to. And they thought that that was normal, and that was something that everybody experienced, and that everybody worked just because we had to earn a living. And I do remember talking to the student and sharing how I personally would be bored, and I personally would assume that I was not very well if I wanted to just play all day and not do anything. And I tried to share it very gently, obviously, because the student was in 8th grade, talking about how this is a sign of something happening, right? If you only want to hang out, play, eat snacks all day long, there's something that's happening. I'm not claiming it's some kind of mental illness necessarily. I'm just saying that in the modern day and age, we're so used to the grind. We're so used to work being this something terrible, right? Something that leads to suffering necessarily, something that we only do because we are coerced. And ever since then, I've met so many people who also think that they would never want to work if they could, and they believe that under socialism, people are going to not work because robots are going to do everything. But what I think is this is a sign of, obviously, is a sign of such mental exhaustion and physical exhaustion, of course, that we cannot even imagine a world where work can actually bring us anything except for suffering. And I do believe that we're not going to stop working under socialism or communism. I think that we're going to be free from the chains of wage labor, which is what makes us all miserable, which creates these conditions in which we feel like we have no choice, right? And we have no freedom, we have no agency, we cannot exercise our limited free will, etc., etc. So of course, in such conditions, we're not going to want to work. This is normal, but the desire to labor is something completely different. And I do remember many years ago, I made that little video with that little clickbait title that I don't want to work because I'm a special snowflake. And I still do claim the same thing, because it has been proven to me not only through reading Marxist theory, but also by conversing with people. It's not the work that we crave. We do crave meaningful labor. We want to be able to create something useful for ourselves and our communities, be it art, be it any kind of tangible thing, be it baking bread for our housemates, be it going on walks and meditating together, whatever it may be. And of course, we all understand the necessity to provide for ourselves. So yes, I also think that in the future communist utopia, we're going to have so much automation that menial tasks, menial labor that is very tiresome is going to be exclusively done by some kind of robots. But that doesn't mean that people are not going to work, because people need to labor. People want to labor when they're put in the right conditions. When I am put in the right conditions, I crave doing some kind of useful work. And being a teacher, I've always enjoyed the aspects of my job where I get to connect to young people. I get to share something that they may find useful or insightful. I loved the aspects of my jobs that were actual interaction with young people, seeing them struggle and overcome their struggles, seeing them smile and seeing them having their little fights and overcoming those fights and learning to cooperate, or maybe not. I've seen all kinds of scenarios, and honestly, it is not only entertaining, it is also very heartwarming. You get to see how people interact when there is no pressure. And of course, there is always a pressure of some kind of academic institution. It was a school at the end of the day, but still, I was able to foster such an environment, for which I'm very grateful for, obviously, that I was able to give my students a little bit more freedom and autonomy and agency, where they could do things a little bit differently from other classrooms. They they were given a few more opportunities to express themselves, and we've always negotiated. I taught them that they always needed to negotiate to be able to explain to others why doing certain things a certain way would be better, more useful, etc., etc. So my students have made a lot of insightful comments, and they did change my perspective on a lot of things. So I was able to see young people perform in limited freedom, right? When they were given a little bit more agency, I was able to see how much more they thrived and how much happier they were to do some of the tasks that otherwise they would hate. If I impose certain methods onto them, they would really, really hate it. So even with such small little experiments, we're able to see that people do need some kind of an activity, especially if it's done together with other people. Group projects, I personally, as a teacher, never liked group projects, but some of my groups of students, they really, really thrived. They really loved talking to each other, discussing all the little details, assigning little tasks to each other. It was really amazing for me to see the kind of bottom-up type of organization that my students were capable of at the ages of 13, 14, 15, so very young. And I know that adult people can organize even better, of course, if they're provided with appropriate circumstances. So I do believe that even if we have very highly automated society in the future, we're still going to crave that labor, to crave that meaningful work. And Marx famously said, or Engels, I think that was Engels, who talked about how people are going to need to do all kinds of various tasks, all kinds of various types of labor, because we as the people want to be well-rounded. It's not that we need to, we want to. And of course, we need to as well, because this is going to be beneficial for our communities, our society at large. But it is also a want. It is this deep desire to create, to participate in this beautiful world of creation that surrounds us, to feel like we are a part of something bigger than ourselves. This is what we all need. This is the sense of belonging, the sense of ownership as well. When you participate in all kinds of creation, then you feel a much greater sense of ownership over the products of your labor, etc., etc. So when we get rid of the division of labor, that doesn't mean that we're all going to become masters of all trades and we're going to be very well versed in everything. No, it's just that we're going to be prepared to take upon ourselves all kinds of new challenges. We're going to be willing to learn something new. We're going to be willing to cooperate, even if we know that we may not be professionals and experts in every single area. We're going to be much more open-minded, and we're going to be much easier to train, because we will have so much more resources freed up, because nowadays we're all under the yoke of capitalism. We all have our vision clouded by all the worries about how we're going to survive, how are we going to pay our bills, how are we going to repair our house, etc., etc. We're afraid for our children's future, etc., etc. We're afraid of diseases and all kinds of matters that I'm almost convinced we're not going to have to worry about once we organize our productive forces to not only serve ourselves, but to serve the world around us, because we're a part of that world. If it dies, we're going to die with it. So we're going to learn to take care of everything, our environment included, because not only is it necessary for us to survive, but to thrive as well. So this is just something I wanted to remind you all today. I hope you have a great day today. Consider supporting me on Patreon. Do take care of yourself and your community first. Subscribe to me on all the social medias, even though I don't do much there. And I'll talk to you sometime later.